Good afternoon, friends. I'm Robert Besser, your conference treasurer and benefits officer. Welcome to the Compass webinar. As you are aware, as you know, General Conference in the spring of 2024 voted for Wespath to transition from the CRSP, the CRSP retirement plan for clergy and families, to a new Compass plan. With us today is Mark Helms, our controller from the conference, and Patricia Goforth-Rakes, who is our senior benefits and health consultant that's going to lead us in the webinar for today. I'm going to begin with the prayer, and then following that, Mark Helms will begin our webinar. So will you join with me as we pray? Holy and guiding God, we come before you today with grateful hearts for the gift of ministry and the many ways that you provide for those who serve your church. God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather for the Compass Transition webinar and important steps as we prepare for the changes ahead and caring for the well-being of our clergy and our congregations. Lord, you are the true compass that points us toward faithfulness, stewardship, and grace. As we learn about the new processes and new responsibilities, may your Spirit grant us clarity of mind and peace of the heart. Help us to listen carefully, to understand deeply, and to even communicate clearly so that all that we do reflects integrity and care for those who serve in your name. Bless every pastor, every payroll clerk, secretary, every finance team, and all who carry the sacred trust of handling the church's resources. Remind us that behind every number and every policy is a life called to ministry, and behind every form and contribution is an act of faithfulness to your mission. We ask for wisdom for those presenting today, patience for those learning, and unity for all who share in this vital work. May this transition lead us toward a future marked by clarity, witness, abundance, kinship, and joy as we continue to serve Christ through the Texas Annual Conference and beyond. It's in Christ's name that we pray. Amen. And I'm going to invite Mark Helms to unmute and to turn on his camera, and know that the Q&A is open. If you have any question at any time that you would like to ask, please put it in the Q&A.
Thank you, Robert.
Welcome, Mark.
Okay, we're going to walk through several slides that give an overview of the new Compass plan. So if we'll move on to slide 2, as communicated throughout 2025, effective January 1st, 2026, Wespath is replacing the Clergy Retirement Security Program, acronym known as CRSP, with Compass. The former plan was a hybrid defined benefit, defined contribution plan that provided a guaranteed monthly retirement benefit for life and an accessible account balance upon reaching retirement. The move to the new Compass plan is a 100% account-based defined contribution plan, whereby the contributions will be made by the church, in this case, the employer of the clergy participating in the plan, and the clergy person. The church will make 3 types of contributions under the new account-based DC plan. The first is a non-matching contribution of 3% of the clergy participants' pension plan compensation that will be made to the defined contribution account balance. The second is a flat dollar amount that will be contributed to the clergy participants' defined contribution account balance as well. And then the third is a dollar for dollar match up to 4% of the clergy participants' pension plan compensation that is made to the DC account balance. A little bit of clarity around the flat dollar amount. That's going to start off in 2026 with a flat dollar amount of $1,800. And that is made to each individual's account on an annual basis, regardless of pension plan compensation. That flat dollar amount will be adjusted every year going forward for a cost of living rate. Now, it's important, and every clergy needs to be cognizant of this, is that you need to contribute at least 4% of your own compensation to receive the full matching. Okay. So again, the match is on the first 4% of contributions made to your personal account. Next slide. What we're looking at now are the components that comprise the former plan, CRSP. This is the plan that's been in place since 2007. Okay. There's 5 components that comprise the billing rate. And when we look at the components that comprise CRSP, the portion associated with the pension plan is a billing rate of 9.8%. Also included in the church billing rate is funding for the comprehensive protection plan, as well as 1% for the suscitation. So if you sum up the totals of the 9.8 for pension, the CPP of 3%, and the suscitation of 1, you get to a total billing rate of 13.8. Now, the components that comprise the CRSP plan is the, need page 2, please, Patricia. The components, not any page, I'm sorry, the prior page, CRSP, there you go. The components that comprise the 13.8, the defined benefit piece was 6.8. The defined contribution non-matching portion was 2. The defined contribution matching component was 0 because the pension reserve paid the 1% that went to each individual's account. There was no rate billed to the church for the defined contribution matching component. And then finally, within the pension program were UMP-IP contributions at 3%, of which 2 was paid out of pension reserves, and then the other 1 was covered by the church. The CPP was billed at 3%, and the suscitation fund at 1. So if you sum up these 5 components of the plan, that gets you to the 13.8% billing rate that's been in place going back to the inception of CRSP. And now going to Compass, the Compass billing rate for the pension portion is 7%. So starting in 2026, each church will be billed 7% for the pieces that comprise the pension component of Compass. Also included in the church billing rate will be the funding for the CPP. That will remain 3%. And then the suscitation fund will remain 1%. So as we look to the components that make up the new Compass plan, you have 4 buckets. You have the defined contribution at the top. This is the non-matching contribution of 3% of each clergy's pension plan compensation. The entire 3% will be billed to the churches on a monthly basis. The next piece is the defined contribution that I mentioned a little earlier of $1,800 per year. This is a flat dollar amount that will be made on a monthly basis. So think of 1,800 divided by 12 months. This is the amount that will be deposited in each participant's account on a monthly basis. We will be charging churches 2% for this flat dollar contribution. The last piece is the matching component of 4%. And again, for an individual participating in the plan, if that individual puts 4% of their own pay into the plan, they'll receive a 100% match on that 4%. That match will be funded by 2% from the church, and the balance of 2% will come out of the pension reserve. Again, I mentioned the CPP is not going to change. That will remain 3%. and then the necessitation fund will be 1%. So you add up these billing rates, you get to a total 11% associated with Compass. And again, this is going to be in effect starting with the January billing. Next page. Now here's an example, and we're looking at it as an impact on church expenses. Reduction in the rate and the cost effective with the new Compass plan on January 1. The billing rate under CRSP is at the top. Again, there's the 13.8% that churches have been paying for a number of years under the existing pension program. The billing rate under the new DC plan Compass is 11%. The reduction is 2.8%. Using a hypothetical example where an individual has a plan compensation of $100,000, under the old CRSP plan, the church cost for that one individual participating in the program would have been $13,800. Under the new DC plan Compass, with the 11% rate, that cost is $11,000 a year. A difference of $2,800, roughly a 20% reduction in annual expenses associated with the pension program. I'd like to now turn it over to Patricia, who's going to go into some deeper details about the plan. I think you're muted.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, under the Compass DC plan, there are two automatic features that will be implemented. The first one is the auto enrollment feature. That is where, again, all eligible participants will automatically be enrolled at 4% of your compensation. Eligible plan participants may elect not to have these by submitting the required documentation. I will go over that contribution election form once we finish this presentation, just so that you can have a better understanding and see that. The other feature is called the auto escalation feature, where we will have implemented an annual contribution escalation of 1% each January 1st calendar year, and it will increase by 1% each year up to a maximum of 8%. Again, eligible plan participants may opt out of this automatic contribution escalation by submitting the form or opt out at any time. In addition to the monthly billing rate of 11%, that and you have the auto enrollment of 4%, you can opt for a greater contribution percentage, a reduced contribution percentage, or none. All personal contribution election and subsequent changes must be documented via the appropriate enrollment forms. These will be drafted by the church. So below we have an outline to show you the components that Mark just went over, showing you that the church pays the 11%. The outline below shows a participant participating at 4%. So that will also be collected. And then the total that is drafted from the church is 15%. Do we have any questions before I move on?
I think we're good.
Okay. The next steps, this is going to be for the church payroll office. So you will submit, did I skip a page? I'm sorry. I think we did. Hold on. We're going to go to the clergy participant first. So all contribution election forms are going to be needed by December 1st, 2025, so that we have adequate time to enter these in Wespath. The clergy will complete part 2, which is indicating the percentage of compensation you would like to make as your personal contribution. Again, you must contribute at least 4% to receive that dollar for dollar match. Would also complete part 3, choosing whether you are doing the automatic contribution escalation to your personal contributions, and then the auto escalation feature for that 1% each year. The waiver is only for 75% clergy. We will not go over that, but if you need that, we can. I will provide that. Full-time clergy will complete, again, the contribution election form, and within that form, it does show the 0 and 0, so it's not considered a waiver. Once you complete your contribution election form, you need to give that to your church office personnel that's responsible for your payroll, and they will complete Part 5. And then please also work with your church and your district to complete your clergy compensation fillable form. So now we will go to the church payroll office. You will submit the completed contribution election form, parts 1 through 5, to me here at the conference office. And then I will complete part 6 and then enter that into Wespath. Again, these are due December 1st. Also, please submit the clergy compensation fillable form by December 1st. Below, I do have the type of contributions that you can choose for your election. And again, the church payroll needs to be aware of what your personal contribution rate will be, because these are going to be withheld from your payroll. And we are drafting, again, the church bank account, as Wespath is no longer collecting directly from the church. Any questions? Okay. Going forward after the implementation, so your clergy participant responsibilities, you can complete this updated contribution election form at any time that you would like to make a personal change for your contribution rate. So say, for instance, you want to go from 4 to 6%, then you need to submit a new form both to your payroll office, and then that will get submitted to me here at the conference office. You can make unlimited changes to your personal contribution rate. However, a change will not become effective without this updated contribution election form submitted to the TAC and your church payroll office. I'm asking that these please be submitted by the 10th of the month so that we do not have any billing delays. The pension draft is on the 15th of the month or next business day. So hopefully by having it by the 10th, then I can get it for that current month. You will complete as a clergy participant a new contribution election form each new calendar year or any new appointment that is made. They will no longer carry from one appointment to the next. So make sure that that is always completed at the beginning of the year for your auto escalation and auto enrollment, and for any personal contribution changes. Any questions?
Yes, we have a question, Patricia.
Okay, yes.
Is the amount that the church contributes, the $1,800, a flat rate, or will it go up 2% if it's greater than $1,800?
No. So, okay, read that. Can you read that one more time?
Is the amount that the church contributes, the $1,800, a flat rate, or will it go up 2% if it's greater?
No, I'll answer that one. The $1,800 is the flat amount that every individual will receive in year one, being 2026. The 1,800 will be adjusted by a cost of living rate that Wespath will determine at a later date. So the 1,800, say it goes up by 2%, the 1,800 will be an increased flat dollar amount that every clergy receives regardless of their salary. What we here in the conference offices are doing to fund that 1,800, we're charging every church 2% for that flat dollar amount. Okay, the 2% is just one component of the 11, and that 2% covers the flat dollar amount. The flat dollar amount will be adjusted every year for the rate of inflation, but the 2% will not. It will remain at a billing rate of 2%. Hope that's clear.
There was a question about where to find this contribution election form. Again, I will be emailing them along with the presentation once we complete this webinar, as well as have it posted online. Any additional questions at this time? Okay. So for the church payroll, your responsibilities, again, begin with holding the clergy participant contribution in January of 2026. Set your budget for those retirement benefits to be drafted from the church on February 15th, 2026. The draft in February will be for 2 months, January and February, as it has been in previous years. Beginning in March, we will collect for that respective month and every month thereafter. Again, this will be comprised of the church paid retirement benefits rates of 11% and the clergy participant paid personal contribution rate. So in the case of a 4% contribution, we will draft for 15% of that plan compensation, the 11 plus 4. In the case of a 7% contribution, the amount drafted will be 18%, the 11 plus the 7. Have any questions? I did provide a little checklist here just to hopefully be a little helpful, as this was a lot of information. Again, as the clergy, you're going to complete the appropriate sections that apply to you and then submit it to your church payroll. You will need to complete your clergy compensation fillable form, sections 1 through 4 of the Compass contribution election form, and then again, submit it to your church representative. On the church's end, complete the clergy compensation fillable form, then submit it to your district upon completion. Complete section 5 on the Compass contribution election form, and then submit that to me here at the TAC office, and then withhold the payroll deductions from your personal contributions on participating clergy. Again, all Compass contribution election forms, as well as the clergy compensation fillable forms, are due December 1st, 2025. I have provided my contact information. You can email me, you may call direct. We do have a fax. We have the TAC website. We put lots of information on the benefits page. I also have a link for setting up a benefits access login if you do not already have that. Wespath does say that you can submit that through them. It may not be available. They are, again, trying to work with the conferences because they need to be coming directly to the conference office. So please do not make any contribution election forms if for some reason that falls through the cracks and they set it up that you're able to do that. They do need to go to your church and then to us here at the conference. Do we have any questions? Oh, yeah. Do we have any questions before I move to the contribution election form?
I don't see any, Patricia.
Okay. Let me.
Oh, wait, I do see a question.
Go ahead.
How do we know what the pastor's 4% is?
I'll take that one. The 4% will be designated on the contribution election form. So again, it's 4% of what's defined as planned compensation. So planned compensation is cash salary plus housing allowance, or the value of the parsonage in case someone has a parsonage. So again, in the example we were using, if someone's planned comp is $100,000, they're electing to put into the plan 4%. What needs to be withheld every paycheck is 4% of that pay for that particular month, or bi-monthly, they're paid twice a month. So you would know just simply by taking 4% times the planned compensation of the clergy.
Mark,
Any additional questions?
Mark, will you say something again about the 2%? There's another question. So it's 2% of the 1,800 per clergy member? That's the question.
No. Separate the 1,800 from the 2%. The 1,800 is what the individual will be receiving to their account balance in a given year. Okay. It's a flat dollar amount. Wespath calls it the equalizer component. It's $1,800 per participant per year, regardless as to what that individual salary is. Okay. We, the conference, are going to bill the church 2% of the individual's planned compensation to fund the $1,800. Rather than drafting a hard dollar amount from the church, we're billing 2%. Again, we're keeping it a simplified rate of 11%. So the 2% is one component of the entire 11% for Compass. And again, the 2% is what we're charging or billing the church in order to fund this $1,800 contribution to the individual's account.
Thank you. A couple more questions, Patricia, before we go to the contribution election form. Does the compensation calculation include accountable reimbursements?
No, Patricia, correct me if I'm wrong, but it does not.
No, it does not. That's correct.
How do I determine the percentage amount? Is it my dollar amount divided by my total compensation?
I'm sorry, Robert, can you repeat that one more time?
This clergy person, I contribute a specific dollar amount. How do I determine the percentage amount? Is it my dollar amount divided by my total compensation?
Yes, right. So if you're trying to determine what percent you're contributing right now, you would take that dollar amount divided by your planned compensation. And if that number comes out to be 3% of your pay, then you're going to want to bump it up to 4 to take advantage of the dollar for dollar match of up to 4%. Now, that being said, within the Compass plan, there is an automatic enrollment feature where every participant is going to be enrolled at 4%. Okay. So your pension plan comp multiplied by 4% is what you're going to be enrolled at in terms of contributions. Now, if you want to contribute more, you'll need to indicate that on your enrollment form. If you want to contribute less, you'll need to indicate that on your enrollment form. But understand that the match is 100% up to 4%. So if you only put in 2%, you're only going to get a match on 2%. If you put in 6%, you're only going to get a match on 4%. Right? So the match is dollar up to 4. You can put in more than 4. You can put less than 4, but we're encouraging everyone to put in at least 4 at a 4% rate combined with the other components of Chris. The 4% at a minimum is what you need in order to receive the full matching benefit. Okay.
Mark,
any more?
Yes. Will the $1,800 increase each year?
Yes, it's going to increase each year. I don't have the rate that is going to increase from 26 to 27, but there will be a rate applied to it. So the $1,800 will be adjusted for cost of living.
Someone asked, what line number on the compensation sheet? I'm looking at a compensation sheet. Line 6 is the pension and health benefits compensation.
I think Patricia is going to hunt that down for you. Yeah.
Yes, number 6 is the Compass plan compensation. That's correct. And on the fillable form, we have broken down each component, so you will be able to see what each component, so the non-matching, matching, equalizer, each amount for that. I'm not sure if churches have noticed, but those that request statements, so your breakdown, we have changed to a new billing system, and so each component is now broken down individually, and that will continue with the Compass plan. So number 6 does equal your compensation, the plan compensation.
Another question. Is the current defined benefit plan portion of CRSP being frozen or being terminated?
It's frozen. So what you've accrued as of the end of 2025 is your benefit that you will be receiving upon retirement. So you're not losing the benefit. It's just that it's not going to grow for future service years. Okay. It will be adjusted again for rate of inflation, but it's not going to grow based upon your service years for 26, 27, 28. You've basically have reached a frozen point in time as of the end of 2025. Any more, Robert?
I see there's a hand up. Was that question put in the Q&A for us to answer?
Okay, Robert, do we see any more questions?
When arriving at plan compensation for contribution, the question is, do we include salary, parsonage value, parsonage utilities, but not reimbursable pastor professional expenses?
That's correct.
And the
So
clergy
go ahead.
Go ahead, Patricia.
Compensation again is your cash salary, utilities, and other housing related allowances, as well as either your parsonage value or your housing allowance.
So when they fill out the clergy comp fillable form, it'll do the math for them, and the pension and health benefits compensation, line 6, does not add into accountable reimbursements.
That is correct.
Here's a question. Do you expect any rebates if all apportionments are paid in full for 2026?
No, the pension rebate program concludes in 2025. So if you pay 100% of your conference apportionment in 2025, you'll receive a rebate in 2026. But under the new Compass plan, we're not going to extend that pension rebate program into the new year.
Someone is asking, can you roll over your CRSP balance to Compass?
No.
Okay, Patricia, you want to talk about the contribution election form?
Yes, thank you. So I have pulled up here the contribution election form that I have created based upon Wespath's information. I did make a few edits because since this is a partnership with the church and us here at the TAC, we are just kind of revising it a little bit because it needs to go to the church payroll and then here to me at the conference office. So we do have the directions here. Each portion is listed on what to do and who is responsible. Again, the clergy will do part 1, part 2, part 3, and then part 4. So I'm going to go to those pages. So it's pretty similar to what was currently shown on your contribution election form, your personal information. Part 2 will consist of which type of contribution you are selecting, whether that be your before tax, your Roth, or your after tax contribution. Part 3, again, we'll talk about your automatic contribution escalation. Here you have your option to have that apply, which is going to be your default, or if you choose not to have that apply to your personal contribution, this is where you will select that. Then you will need to print your name and sign it and then date it. Then submit it to your church office where they will complete their information and then submit that to me here at the conference office. I will complete it to acknowledge that I have received it and input it, and then I will submit a copy back to the church so that you have a copy of this for your records as well. Again, the effective date of the contribution will be the 15th of the month following receipt. So if you do give that to me by the 10th of the month, then I can process it hopefully for that current month. Otherwise, it will get picked up the following month. Are there any questions regarding this form? Or would you like me to go back to a specific portion of it? My Q&A is not
Patricia,
formulating for me. Yes.
I see some people with their hands up. They need to put their question in the chat, please. The questions should go in the Q&A, excuse me.
And Robert, once they post those, if you could read them to us, that would be great. My internet's not working, so I'm not allowed to. I'm unable to see the Q&A at this time. I apologize.
Okay, a new question just came in. Is Compass a 403 or a 401?
It is a 403B. Right here, 403B plan.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Yes, 2 just came in.
Okay.
Is this form available yet on the TAC website, speaking of the contribution election form?
We will post it as soon as I end this webinar.
Thank you. If the payroll office doesn't receive the form, please confirm the church shall still pay 15% since there's an auto 4% enrollment.
That is correct.
If the pastor elects not to participate with a personal contribution, does that affect the church's 11% contribution?
It does not. No, they will be billed the 11% regardless.
If a clergy member makes a change a month or two later, do they use the same form as presented here?
Yes, that's correct.
And that form is submitted to the payroll person at their church who fills out their part, and then it's submitted to you, Patricia.
Yes,
Correct?
that is correct. Yes.
And there's a certain date each month that it needs to get to your office for it to be in that month?
Yes, please. If you can submit it by the 10th of the month. Billing occurs on the 15th or next business day. So usually they're, depending on which day of the week it falls on, if we have it by the 10th, it should hopefully be picked up in that current month.
I think that's all the questions that's in the Q&A at the moment. Oh, excuse me. Employer number. Is that the same employer number that we currently use for Wespath?
It is the GCFA number.
And where would that be located?
If you do not have that, that's okay. You can leave that part blank and I can put that in there.
Is it listed on their Wespath report each month?
Is this a clergy or
A
church?
clergy.
That is a good question. I don't see churches. It's a number that's associated with the church. Usually it starts with a 7. So if you see that number, or your church might know, and then they would complete that.
Thank you. So we are no longer submitting directly to Wespath. Instead, they should go to Patricia in the future.
Correct. Yes, please.
So the church will bill 2% for matching, even if a clergy person elects 0 personal contributions.
That is correct. So again, it's a really good idea to contribute because the church is still paying for that 2%. I believe we might have another question coming in.
I don't see another question.
Okay.
Yet.
I saw a hand going up. I will reiterate, if for some reason you do need to look for your GCFA number, they are available in the clergy comp fillable form.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay. Well, if there are no further questions.
One just came in, I'm sorry. Can we elect a dollar amount for our contribution, or does it have to be a percentage?
If you select a flat dollar amount, it will be converted by Wespath to a percentage. But yes, you can do a flat dollar amount.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all the questions.
Okay, well, we thank you for attending this webinar. I hope that it was helpful. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me if something does come up, if you have additional questions or concerns. But I appreciate all of y'all's time and thank y'all for this partnership that we will work on together. Thank you.